What is up, mages? It is I, your wintry neighborhood winter spell. I welcome you back to another deck profile for Edison. Hope you guys are going to enjoy it. This is version 2 of my Quickdraw Dandywarrior deck, which you may remember seeing before. Check our sound. Excellent. You may remember seeing this deck before. So it was more of a dark type build the last time I showed it to you. I have modified the build, and honestly, it did very well. We had 3 rounds tonight at locals. First round against Frogmarks, I did lose that round. However, it was incredibly close, and it really could have gone either way. Next round was against Geartown, and I did lose again. However, the opponent was hard-pressed, and he did have to work for it. Round 3 was against Lightsworn. I did take that round. We would have done a round 4, but it was late, and the shop needed to close. But all in all, the deck did very well today, even with a 1-2 round. Honestly, it performed incredibly solidly, and it was quite wonderful. Monster Buzz 4105, hope you're doing great. Glad to see you. So, without further ado, let's get started. Let's see what makes this deck fantastic. We're going to start out with the monsters. I'm still running 22 monsters, 10 spells, 8 traps, because that appears to be working. And don't worry about it, Monster Buzz. It's all good. I wanted to stop over, thought you'd find something funny. So let's start out with main deck. First monster we got on the list is Tuningware again. You may remember Tuningware can become a level 1 or level 2 when synchro summoning, and you get to draw a card when it goes to the graveyard for that. So quite honestly, fantastic card. Serves me very well. Lets me get some of those amazing draws. So next up we have a couple of Raikou, Lightsworn Hunter. So Raikou is a level 2. It's a flip effect monster of the Lightsworn variety. It's a very good card. So the flip effect on this card is that you can pop a card in the field and then mill 3. Now you may be thinking, why mill 3? That's really stupid. No. In a toolbox deck, that can make or break your game. And trust me, the mills were good. So running 2 of that, honestly, absolute staple card in Edison. Does fantastically. Next, we have our 1 copy of Plague Spitter Zombie. Again, remember, Plague Spitter Zombie can be special summoned from the graveyard when you return a card from your hand to the top of the deck. So if we mill this, that's fantastic, because then we're just going to get it back. Next, we're still running a couple copies of our Quillbolt Hedgehog. You may remember Quillbolt Hedgehog can be special summoned from the graveyard when you have a tuner on the field, but it is banished from the Lisa field. So that's there. Once again, if it's milled, that's okay. I will get it back, and we're going to get it back when we need it. So that adds another couple levels to your synchro summon. So a new card in the deck we have a copy of Necro Gardener. So Necro Gardener is fantastic. That's another card you want to be able to discard or mill. You're not going to play this on the field unless you need a quick defensive monster. So during the opponent's turn, you can banish this card from the graveyard and negate the next attack that a monster makes from your opponent. So fantastic. That can help keep you alive. It's a great thing to have. We're still running our copy of Blackwing Gale the Whirlwind, because that's a level 3 tuner, and we can cut a monster's attack in half permanently. So even though we can't use its special summon capabilities, it's the only Blackwing we run, it's still a fantastic card to be running, and it can get you out of a sticky situation. Next, so we are still running Junk Synchron. However, I've moved him down to 2 because 3 was honestly just cluttering up the deck. As anyone may know, Junk Synchron will let you special summon a level 2 or lower monster in defense position with its effects negated when he's normal summoned. So that can get back your Quillbolts, that can get back your Tuningware. That's going to get back a lot of monsters in the deck. It's quite fantastic. We are still running our 1 copy of Sangen, because that's a fantastic searcher. It's going to search out most of the cards in the deck. You know, when it's sent from the field to the graveyard, take a monster at 1500 or less attack, put it in the deck, or put it in your hand. We are still running 2 copies of Dandelion, one of the most important cards in this deck. Whenever this card hits the graveyard, no matter where it's coming from, you get 2 fluff tokens on the field in defense position, level 1, attack 0, defense 0. Now, these tokens can be tributed, but not on the turn this is summoned. So Dandelion is literally one of the most important non-tuners in this deck. Actually, it's the most important non-tuner. This is a card that you want to keep popping back into your hand as much as possible, special summon it as much as possible. You want your Dandelions hitting the field and hitting the graveyard. If you can do it every turn, do it every turn. You are going to spam these fluff tokens, especially with the cards in this deck. That is your Synchro Summon. That is a plant monster on the field because they are plants, and it's an important card to have. So next we have very important card as well, 2 Longfire Blossoms. So this will let you tribute a plant monster in the field to special summon a plant monster from your deck. You are usually not going to be searching out another Longfire unless you want to thin out your deck. You are going to be hitting Dandelion, or you're going to be summoning a monster that I'm going to show you in just a moment, because you are going to use these. This is also a target for Debris Dragon because it's got 500 attack points. So it'll help you whip out a level 7. It's a target for Black Rose Dragon, which I did use it for tonight. So all in all, great card to have. Stuck at 2, but honestly 2 is the max I would run in this deck anyway. Next, we have our Debris Dragon, a favorite of ours. I'm now running 2 in the deck because it is a fantastic card, and there are 3... Honestly, there's 5 different targets in the deck for it, which we'll go over when we touch the extra deck. This is going to help you get back your Dandelion over and over again. And I'd like to point out, if you use this to make Black Rose Dragon, and then use Black Rose Dragon's ability to destroy everything on the field, I would like to point out that, at least for the errata for Edison, Dandelion's ability to summon tokens will activate after the field is blown up. So even if you blow up the field, you'll still have 2 fluff tokens on the field. So we got 2 of our Debris Dragon. Next, we are running 3 of our most important tuner, Quickdraw Synchron. This is what we're going to use to discard our Dandelion. This is what we're going to use to summon our strongest Synchro monsters, especially Drill Warrior, and we're going to go over why in a moment. So we're running 3. Normally, in a lot of Edison decks, considering the cards available and the abilities available at the time, you are usually running 2 of a card that you really need in the deck. However, with Quickdraw Dandywarrior, you can very comfortably run 3, and quite honestly, I would keep him at 3 because that was working very well for me. Unless you draw all 3 first turn, then you're like, maybe not. All right. Next, we have our Gores, the Emissary of Darkness. This is an important card to have. Also, it's really great after you Black Rose the field. So this card will activate when you have no other cards in the field, and you either take damage from an attack or take damage from a card effect. You can special summon this card, and then you can special summon a Gores token, or Emissary of Darkness token. I have the actual token here. So if you took battle damage, the token will gain the same amount of attack as the damage you took. Like, for example, I took 3,000 damage from Judgment Dragon. I got a 3,000 attack point token. Now, if you take effect damage, you don't get the token, but you do burn your opponent for the same amount of damage. So Gores can really turn things around. It was a massive card in Edison. Last monster in the deck, we have Titania, the Princess of Camellias. You are only running 1 of this in your deck. I wanted to run 2 at one point. I did testing. You do not run more than 1. Otherwise, this is going to be in your hand constantly. So I do run 1 of them. There are people who say don't run it at all, but I like running it. It's a good beater, and the effect is quite amazing. During either player's turn, when a card or effect that targets a card or cards in the field is activated, you contribute one face-up plant-type monster, negate the activation, and destroy it. Now, I run one of these in the deck because this is a target for Longfire Blossom. This is a beat stick, and also you can use your leftover fluff tokens to tribute for its effect. So it's a fantastic stun card. It's a great beat card. It can be a great defense card if necessary. And personally, I love running one in the deck. All right, next we're going to move on to our spells. First up, Brain Control. Absolute staple card in Edison. You really need this. Pay 800 life points, target a face-up monster on the field, and take control of it. A monster that can be normal, summoned, or set. Actually, I might need to check this. Oh, I do not know if that's a post-errata printing. Let me just give a check. Okay. So it looks like based on errata, I can still take something that like a Judgment Dragon. Because this card was made in the 6th erratum. That's a new way to do it. So Brain Control will still work as I thought. I can take control of any of those monsters. All right, next we've got Cold Wave. Fantastic card to have. So this has to be activated during main phase 1 at the start of it. So neither you or your opponent can set or play any spell or trap cards until my next turn. So that's great for a finishing move. That's fantastic for finishing opponent off, for getting off some big plays. So I always say run a Cold Wave. Next we have Dark World Lightning. You can target a set card in the field, destroy that target, then you discard a card. That wording is very important then, because that means if they flip that card up or they stop you from destroying it, you do not discard the card. But this will help you get a Dandelion in the graveyard. This will help you get a Quillbolt in the graveyard. It destroys a back row or gets you over a Raikou or maybe a face down Dupe Frog, and it lets you fill up your graveyard at the same time. So I run one of those. As always, we're going to be running a copy of Giant Trunade. Bounces all spell and trap cards on the field back to the hand. Absolutely fantastic. It gets around Starlight Road. It gets around Stardust. It's an important card you need to be running. We have our copy of Gold Sarcophagus. Banish a card face up during the second standby phase, added to your hand. It has to be from the deck. This will let you search out your Quick Draw. This will let you search out your Dandelion. Those are usually the cards I grab with it. Although if you already have them, you can grab anything you like. But mostly it's going to be used for searching out Quick Draw or Dandelion. Next, we have our copy of Heavy Storm. Destroy all spells and traps on the field. Very important. Although, again, you got to watch out for that Starlight Road. You got to watch out for Stardust. Absolutely important card in this deck. We have Foolish Burial. This will let you send a monster from the deck to the graveyard. With a toolbox deck, this card is absolutely indispensable. This will also allow you to get fluff tokens by sending Dandelion. Let's say that we have a Debris Dragon in our hands. We'll use Foolish Burial, send, excuse me, we can send our Dandelion from deck to graveyard, get 2 fluff tokens, normal summon our Debris Dragon, get back our Dandelion. We can go for, honestly, at that point, we could go for 6. 7, or 8. It gives us a lot of versatility. Next, we have Pot of Avarice. This will let us take 5 monsters in our graveyard, shuffle them in the deck, and draw 2 cards. This can get us back our important things. Again, quick draw, get us back our Dandelion. This can get us back our other monsters, put them back in the extra deck. Let's say they've taken care of our very important synchro monsters. Send them back to the deck with this and draw those 2 cards. Great card to run one of. Now this one is a personal choice, but I thought it was a good idea. Hand Destruction. I like running this because it gives you that draw 2, because I can't use Allure of Darkness anymore because I am not running as many dark monsters. Gives me the draw 2, and it makes your opponent discard a couple of cards, makes them draw a couple of cards. It lets you get stuff in your graveyard that you need. I think running one of these is a good idea. Last for our spells, we have our Mystical Space Typhoon. Absolutely staple card. It's a quick play spell, blow up a spell or trap in the field. Incredibly important. You got to save them Mystical Space Typhoons for those black whirlwinds, because otherwise they going to kill you. All right, let's move on to traps. Running 8 traps again. We've got our 2 copies of Bottomless Trap Hole. Great board clearer. Absolutely fantastic. I say pretty much in almost any Edison deck, you're running 2. Next, we have our Dimensional Prison. I only run 1 because I have one. Although I could see myself running 2, but I don't really need to run 2 in this deck. And I'd also like to point out, this does not target around cards that stop targeting. This will get around our Princess Camellias. This will get around Stardust. It does not destroy it, just removes it from play. We have our copy of Magic Cylinder, although I may end up switching this out for a card in the side deck, which I'll explain later. We have our copy of Mirror Force, of course, self-explanatory why that's there. We have a copy of Starlight Road. You know, this is going to stop Heavy Storm. This is going to stop Black Rose, and it's going to get us a Stardust on the field to boot. Now, of course, I must remind you, this is not a proper synchro summon. If you summon Stardust off of this and you use Stardust's effect, it will not come back from the graveyard. Next, we have an absolute staple in Edison, Trap Dust Shoot. If your opponent has 4 or more cards in their hands, you can activate this, take a monster card from their hand, shuffle it back into the deck. This can stop strategies in Edison. This can honestly win you the game right here. Like if you first turn Dust Shoot and then you put back something important, that could screw up their entire game. So always cool to run a Dust Shoot. And of course we have our Solemn Judgment, our big Omni Negate. He's our big boy. It's going to cost half of our life points, but honestly it is worth it. All right, moving on to the extra deck. Really liking how this came together, and I'm hoping you guys are going to enjoy it. So first off, we have our Armory Arm. So it's our level 4 summon. Like you get a Plague Spreader out, you get a Kobold out. You can bring this boy, you summon a Junk Synchron, bring back the Tuning Wear, make this guy get that draw. You can equip him to a monster, give it 1,000 attack, and then when it destroys a monster and sends it to the graveyard, the opponent takes damage equal to its original attack. So that can be a game ender right there. Next, of course, we have our copy of Ally of Justice Cataster. It's our great anti-non-dark monster. Good 22 beater, level 5, easy to make with Junk Synchron. Of course, we have our Junk Warrior, gives us a target for Junk Synchron. It's a good beater, especially if we have some level 2s in the field. I like to run 1 copy of it just for the beat and because it's easy to make with Junk Synchron. We have our copy of Brionic, Dragon of the Ice Barrier. This is good for filling up our graveyard, and it's also good to help clear the field using its ability. Remember, this is pre-errata since this is Edison. So you do not have to discard everything at once. You can pick and choose when you discard throughout the turn. So you can start just popping things back to the hand even after play is happening. Like, get rid of something, they play something as summons a monster, pop it back to the hand anyway. A lot of stuff you can do with that. Brionic's fantastic. Next, we have a bit of a difference. We have 2 copies of Drill Warrior. Drill Warrior is one of the most important synchros you're going to make in this deck. So this is a monster recycler. This is a direct attacker. During the main phase 1, you can cut its attack in half permanently, and then it gains the ability to attack directly for that turn. And do not worry, it's not going to stay at 1200 forever. You can also discard a card from your hand to banish this into your next standby phase, and then when it comes back, you can add a monster from your graveyard to your hand. This is going to get you back your quick draws. This is going to get you back your dandelions. You can get back the dandelion, then discard the dandelion, and keep just filling up your field with the fluff tokens every turn. This can give you fodder for Titanial. There's a lot you can do with this card, and he's a 24 beater. That is pretty easy to summon. Next, we have our Iron Chain Dragon. This is another good target for Debris Dragon. So you're not using this for the Iron Chain abilities, obviously, because this is the only Iron Chain monster we have in the deck. However, we're using it because it's a dragon, so that means Debris Dragon. We're using it because it's a 2500 beater, and because when it deals battle damage, it sends 3 cards from the top of the opponent's deck to the graveyard. An absolute staple synchro for Edison format, and in fantastic condition. Next, of course, we have our Goyle Guardian, and remember, this is pre-errata, so it does not need the Earth Tuner. This is our good 28 beater. This lets us steal monsters when it destroys them. So he's good to have, but he's also very quick to be taken out because the opponent does not want to see him. Of course, another very important synchro we have is our Black Rose Dragon. This can help us nuke the field when it's special summoned, or we can use it to banish a plant, which remember, we are running 5 plant monsters, so we can do something with this. If it's a 24 beater, if you keep it on the field. I had to Black Rose the field several times tonight, and it was a good idea. You can also banish a plant monster, target defense position monster your opponent controls. It gets turned to attack position, and its attack becomes 0 to the end of the turn. So, honestly, you can use that in combo with Nitro Warrior, and you can deal some massive damage. Next, I'm still running 1 copy of Ancient Fairy Dragon, because, it's good to have. It lets me blow up field spells, and it will let me special summon. If I know I can't attack that turn, I can use it to special summon stuff. And it's a good defensive card, which we can then switch to attack mode to help finish out a game. So honestly, I still like running 1 copy of it. It's not the card we're going to summon first, but it's good to have in the deck. Next, we have our newly acquired Junk Archer, a level 7, which is also a target for both Junk Synchron and Quickdraw Synchron. So once per turn, you can target a monster your opponent controls and banish it. The banished monster does return during the end phase, but you can use this to clear out a dupe lock. You can use this to clear out a Stardust. You can use this in a variety of ways to unlock the field for you to either end the game or get yourself a lot closer to it. So I only run 1 of these, and honestly, 1 is all you need. More than that would clutter up the deck, but he is fantastic to have right there in your back pocket, just ready to clear the field for you. Next, of course, we have our Nitro Warrior. You guys remember him. He is good as our beat stick. He can become a 3800 beat stick. And, of course, when he destroys an opponent's monster by battle, switch one of their defense position monsters, as long as it's face up, to attack position, and immediately attack it with Nitro Warrior. Like I said, use that in combo with Black Rose, and you can do amazing things. Of course, we have our copy of Stardust Dragon. If I did not have this in an Edison Synchro deck, I would lose my Edison license right there. For obvious reasons, he's going to be staying there. He's a negate. He's a beat stick. And he is still the coolest card in Yu-Gi-Oh! In my opinion. Next, of course, we have our Red Dragon Archfiend. He is also great for clearing out a dupe lock as long as you can attack one of the dupe frogs. He's fantastic for clearing the field. If you suspect your opponent has a Raikou face down, use this guy to attack another monster and then clear that out without flipping it up. And he's a 3000 beat stick. Last but not least, we have our Thought Ruler Archfiend, another level 8 beat stick. And of course, it's a life point gainer. It's a bit of a negator as long as you are only targeting it, because this is now the only psychic monster we are running in the deck. All in all, it's a very solid extra deck. There's a lot we can do with it, and it has served me well. I only had to side a couple of times in my games, and quite honestly, this deck was performing very well. Excuse me. Moving on to the side deck, we have our copy of Level Eater. He's not really being used in the main deck. It's not that he's not good, but I needed room for other things that were more important. However, if I need to go even more turbo, he's still there in the side deck, just in case I need him. We have an interesting tech card that I thought would be cool to use and no one would think of. I've got Cat's Ear Tribe, a level 1 beast warrior of 200 attack points, 100 defense points. So people have not really looked at this card in years, but here's why I was. The original attack of your opponent's monster or monsters that battles with this card during his or her turn becomes 200 points during the damage step. That's why this card is incredible. This is why this is in my side deck. One, this is a target for both Junk Synchron and Debris Dragon. Plus, this can be used to remove really annoying cards that you could not get over anyway. So honestly, he's not in the main deck, but I thought he was really good to have in side deck, because you never know. And of course, we have our copy of Tragodia. You know, summon it when you take battle damage, 600 attack and defense for each card in your hand, and lets you take control of its monster and change its level. That's in side deck. I thought the Gores was better for main deck. We also have Turbo Warrior. This is something we would side in when we're facing Synchro decks, because when it attacks a level 6 or higher Synchro monster, we have that monster's attack until the end of the damage step, and this card cannot be targeted by the effects of level 6 lower monsters. So this does get over, honestly, a lot of stuff. Can't be stopped by Raikou. And yes, freebie, I do have anti-frog cards. Just going to let you know that now. Next, we have a second copy of Stardust Dragon, just in case, because you never know. And of course, we have our copy of Mistworm. Level 9, 3 bouncer. Every Synchro deck should be running it at this time. One of the anti-frog cards I have is Back to Square One. Discard a card from the hand and return one monster in the field to the top of the owner's deck. Aha! It is you, my friend. Good to see ya. So this can get you out of a dupe lock. This can take care of some nasty monarchs. This can do a lot. You could even use it to bounce a Treeborn Frog so they can't summon it back the next turn. There's a lot you can do with this. Plus, it also clears a lot of Synchro monsters. Because, of course, it's not a destruction effect, it's a bounce effect. So running one of those in side deck at least, I think is a great idea. Next, we have our copy of Card Destruction, because in certain situations, this can be super effective. Because, hey, it's a draw. If you know your opponent has searched out something really good, gets rid of it, this can help you ditch stuff to the graveyard for toolbox. It's a fantastic card to have if you need to go turbo. So because this is a pretty heavy Synchro format, we do have a copy of Desynchro in the side deck. Now, a lot of times this card is used to desynchro your monsters, and then resynchro them again to get card draw advantage, at least closer into modern to the modern synchro summons. Although this was a massive strategy back in the day when TG Hyper Librarian was huge and when Tuning Ware was really hyper utilized. But this is what you want to side in when you're fighting another quick draw deck, when you're fighting a deck that you know is going to use some heavy synchros. Never hurts to have the desynchro there in your side deck. Another anti-lock card, running a Lightning Vortex. Discard a card from your hand, destroy all face-up monsters on your opponent's side of the field. This can definitely get rid of the dupe lock. This can definitely get rid of, the Marshmallow, the Spirit Reaper. There is a lot that Lightning Vortex can do. So it never hurts to have one of those. Of course, we have our copy of Mind Control. If we know that our opponent is using a lot of stuff we can use for our deck, never hurts. We have our copy of Book of Moon, just in case. Always good to have. We have a copy of Burial from a Different Dimension if we are knowing it's going to be more of a drag-out, long game. Normally, I don't really need Burial. I'm not banishing as many things, and I can usually get away with not returning the Quill Bolts and the Plague Spreader to my graveyard. However, if I know it's going to be a long, drag-out, slam-bang game, I'm going to side in the Burial. Or if I know I'm playing against a removal deck, which we do have at our locals. Next, we have our Torrential Tribute. Self-explanatory, blows up the field. Also a great card to use against frogs because it will wipe the field. Last card in the deck, we have a copy of Limit Reverse. This is something that I'm considering just replacing Magic Cylinder with. This will let us target a monster with 1,000 or less attack in your graveyard, special summon it in attack position. If it's changed to defense position, kill it. If this card leaves the field, kill it. This would reach a lot of things in the deck, and it's a fantastic card to have. So this is probably going in the main deck at some point. Now, something else I want to get for side deck is I do want to get a couple copies of DD Crow, because there is a good lock you can set up, a good loop you can set up with Drill Warrior, the Drill Crow loop, where you keep discarding the DD Crow to take out the opponent's graveyard, especially effective against other synchro decks. If we were going to side that in, I'd probably take out both the Level Eater and the Cat's Ear Tribe in favor of the two DD Crows, but I am not able to get my hands on them at the moment. You can keep adding it back to your hand with Drill Warrior, especially if you're using a couple of them. So, honestly, running a couple of DD Crows is a great idea. I just don't have them. If you have a couple extra Crows, I'm going to need to trade you for them, because I really do want to put them in this deck. So, like I said, all in all, this deck is pretty good. It is an incredibly solid build. I had a lot of luck with it tonight. My opponents will tell you that I did very well. Like I said, even though I did lose 2 rounds out of 3, they were very close rounds, and the deck was performing. It was performing very well. It was performing how I needed it to. And honestly, the tide was just against me at this point, and my opponents had the gas and I didn't. But again, all in all, the deck is fantastic. I have a lot of fun with it. It is my favorite deck in the Edison format. And honestly, it's what I'm using online on Dueling Book. I've been enjoying it very much. It is right up my alley. Synchros have always been my favorite cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! And I can see myself just being fantastic. I see myself as using this fantastic deck for a very long time. I'm going to keep improving it as much as I can. Keep tinkering with it. This is only my 3rd Edison tournament I was in. So I can keep improving the deck. I can keep figuring out how things should be working. And again, a really important thing you want to remember when playing Edison, when building decks in Edison, we know a lot more about the game than we used to. This was a point that was brought up in another video I was watching. You're not going to be using the same decks that you used back in 2010. You're going to make changes to it based on what you know now. This is perhaps not the deck I would have run in 2010. Of course, at that time, I was just getting into Yu-Gi-Oh! I think I got here just after Edison. I think during like the September ban list of 2010. So I think I just missed Edison. I was going to my first tournament with a Machina Mayhem structure deck. There's a lot about the game we can learn, a lot about the game that we can modify our decks with now. And I'm excited for the future of Edison. But I think this will still remain one of the top tier decks of Edison. It still will remain as the deck that defines it for the best part. And it's just really fun to play. It's really fun. It's got a lot of options. And you're able to build it your own way. The core of it remains the same. But I've seen lots of videos on Quickdraw Dandywarrior. While some of my deck is the same as them, I still have my own twist on it, like using the Quillbolt, using the Junk Synchron, using the Gale the Whirlwind. There are a lot of things that I do that I have not seen in any of these builds. And that's the beauty of Quickdraw Dandywarrior. You can build it to your own specifications. You can build it how you think is best. And it's just a really fun, versatile deck to play. And quite honestly, one of the easiest decks to play to learn about Edison and to figure out what suits you. So again, amazing deck. I will keep playing it even as I'm trying to build other decks. The hero deck is almost done. There's only a few cards left that I need, and they are on the way. Once I get them, I will make a deck profile for heroes as well. RPK Gaming, I know you've been waiting for this deck. I can't wait to make the video to show it off to you because your hero video was really cool, and I got a lot of good ideas from it, and I hope you're going to really enjoy my video as well. So that's about it for the Quickdraw Dandywarrior Turbo deck tonight. Do not worry, we still have one more video we're doing tonight. As soon as I'm able to boot up my PlayStation, we're going to be taking a look at what He-Man's doing in our Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen game. I can't wait. It's going to be exciting. I'm still nursing this voltage because I need the caffeine. And I hope you guys really enjoyed my deck. I'm going to try to get some Edison match videos on the channel. We've already had a few. We have some Vanguard ones. We had a good one against Shadow Fox for Battle Spirits. So we're hoping to get a lot more stuff of that nature on here. I've been enjoying getting a lot more of this TCG videos out. I've been enjoying doing the shorts, and we're going to keep that going. We're going to try to get a lot more TCG videos going as we keep going with the video game videos as well. Still working on trying to get a Dungeons and Dragons series together because I would love to do that if I'm able to get the equipment and able to get the people together. That's something I'd love to do on this channel at some point, and I hope it's something you guys would enjoy. So until next time, this has been your Wintry Neighborhood Winter Spell. I am reminding you all to stay frosty, and I will see you in the next video. So until next time, this